The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the cracked sidewalk of East Village into a river of regret. Isla's fingers, numb from the cold, slipped on the slick leather of the woman's purse, but she caught it mid-fall, thrusting it back into manicured hands that trembled like they belonged to someone who'd never known a shiver before. "Take it," Isla growled through chattering teeth, her voice a raw scrape against the storm. "Before this city swallows you whole like it did me." Isla had seen her kind before, polished, perfumed predators of the night, strutting through the shadows of New York like they owned the goddamn skyline. But this one was different. Elena, she'd learn later, with her sharp jawline and eyes like smoked whiskey, had stumbled out of a black tie gala at the plaza, heels clicking unevenly on the uneven pavement, her emerald gown hitched up like a sail in the wind. The storm had caught her off guard, same as it did everyone eventually, and when a gust ripped her clutch from her grip, sending it skittering toward the gutter, Isla, curled in her cardboard nest under a fire escape, lunged without thinking. "Jesus! Thank you," Elena gasped, clutching the purse to her chest as if it held her soul. Water streamed down her face, mascara carving black rivers over porcelain cheeks. She was in her early 30s, Isla guessed. The kind of woman who lunched at Bergdorf's and summered in the Hamptons, not the kind who knew the bite of November rain on bare skin. Isla, 28, was all edges, freckles faded from too many suns, auburn hair tangled into a wild halo, green eyes hardened by 3 years on the streets after her mom's overdose, and a deadbeat dad who vanished like smoke. She wore the uniform of the forgotten, faded Levi's with holes at the knees, a hoodie pilfered from a church donation bin, and boots so worn they whispered secrets with every step. Elena didn't bolt like the others might. Instead, she stood there, rain plastering her gown to curves that screamed money and mystery, and tilted her head. "You're soaked. Come on. Let me get you a cab. Or coffee. Something." Her voice was velvet over steel, laced with that Upper East Side clip that made Isla's stomach twist, equal parts envy and fire. Isla barked a laugh, sharp as shattered glass. "Lady, cabs don't stop for ghosts. And coffee? Last time I had that." It was spiked with regret, but Elena's eyes held hers, unblinking, and something cracked in Isla's chest. A fissure she'd boarded up long ago. Before she knew it, she was trailing this stranger through the downpour, toward a glowing diner on St. Mark's place that stayed open for the insomniacs and the irredeemable. Inside, the air was thick with grease and fluorescent hum, a sanctuary of vinyl booths and waitresses who poured refills without questions. Elena shrugged off her sodden coat, revealing the gown's low back, a tattoo of a wilting rose peeking just above the fabric, unexpected, like finding poetry in a penthouse. She ordered 2 black coffees and a plate of pancakes, sliding them across the formica table to Isla without a word. "Eat. You look like you haven't in days." Isla's pride reared up, but hunger won. She devoured the stack, syrup dripping like forbidden tears, while Elena watched with those hazel eyes that seemed to see straight through the grime to the girl who'd once dreamed of Juilliard, violin in hand, before life tuned her strings to discord. "What's your name?" Elena asked, leaning forward, elbows on the table like they were equals in this greasy confessional. Isla slipped out soft, unbidden. "And you?" "Cinderella. Before the clock strikes." Elena, a smile tugged at her lips, reluctant and real. "No prince, though. Just a lot of bullshit parties and people who smile like they mean it, but stab you in the back." They talked until the diner's jukebox clicked to Sinatra, crooning about strangers in the night. Elena spilled fragments. A recent breakup with a Wall Street wolf who preferred coke to commitment. The pressure of her family's expectations. In the world of high society philanthropy. Isla shared less. Flashes of her mom's laugh echoing in a Brooklyn walk-up. The eviction notice that landed her here. Scraping by on odd jobs and the occasional busk with a borrowed guitar. But Elena listened like Isla was the only voice in the room. Her fingers brushing Isla's across the table. Electric as a live wire. By dawn, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and Elena insisted on walking Isla to a shelter on the Bowery. "This isn't pity," she said, pressing a damp business card into Isla's palm. Harrington. Event coordinator. Harrington Foundation. I don't know. Fate? Call me. Please. Her touch lingered, warm against the chill. And Isla felt it burrow deep. A seed in barren soil. That card burned a hole in Isla's pocket for days. She turned it over in the dim light of underpasses, tracing the embossed gold like a talisman. Pride kept her silent at first. Why chase a fairy tale when reality was a cardboard bed? But hunger gnawed deeper than her stomach. A ache for connection that no soup kitchen could fill. On the fourth night, huddled in Washington Square Park with a borrowed phone from a fellow drifter, she dialed. Elena's voice answered on the second ring, bright as morning light. "Isla? I hoped you'd call." They met at a hole-in-the-wall bookstore in the village. Shelves groaning under dog-eared paperbacks and the scent of aged pages. Elena arrived in jeans and a cashmere sweater. Casual elegance that still screamed privilege. But her smile was unguarded, pulling Isla into a hug that smelled of lavender and possibility. From there, it unfolded like a jazz riff, improvised. Intoxicating. Elena dragged Isla to hidden speakeasies and speakeasy basements, where they sipped bootleg gin and danced to Ella Fitzgerald covers until the world blurred. Isla taught her to spot the best street art in Bushwick, tagging abandoned warehouses with chalk messages of rebellion. They shared secrets in Central Park at midnight, Elena confessing the weight of her invisible crown. She was Elena Voss. Not just Harrington by marriage, but the quiet heiress to Voss Industries, a tech empire her grandfather built on Silicon Valley dreams transplanted to Manhattan boardrooms. "Everyone thinks I'm just the arm candy," she whispered one night, head on Isla's shoulder under the Bethesda fountain. "But I run the foundation. I change lives. Or try to." Isla's heart swelled, tangled in thorns of doubt. "And me? I'm just the stray you fed pancakes." But Elena's kiss silenced her, soft at first. Tentative. Then fierce. Tasting of rain and redemption. It was Isla's first real kiss in years. Not the fumbling hookups of survival, but something sacred. Souls colliding in the dark. Weeks blurred into a fever dream. Elena rented Isla a tiny studio in Alphabet City. Just until you get on your feet. With a violin she'd sourced from a pawnshop on Canal Street, ebony and gold, humming under Isla's fingers like an old friend. Isla enrolled in night classes at NYU's Community Extension, her calloused hands relearning scales while Elena cheered from the front row, eyes shining brighter than the footlights. Love bloomed fierce and fragile, lazy Sundays in bed with takeout dim sum. Elena tracing Isla's scars, literal and not, with lips that promise forever. "You're my revolution," Elena murmured, fingers weaving through Isla's hair. The one thing real in this plastic world, but shadows lurked. Elena's ex, Marcus Hale, a hedge fund shark with a jaw like chiseled marble and eyes cold as his portfolio, didn't fade quietly. He'd slither into texts during dinners. Forgotten voicemails laced with venom. She's slumming it. Él. You'll tire of the charity case. Isla overheard one call in the bathroom. Elena's voice cracking like thin ice. It's over. Marcus. For good. But doubt seeded. A whisper in Isla's ear. You're the help. Kid. Always will be. The first crack came at a Harrington gala. Black ties and ball gowns swirling in the Waldorf's grand ballroom. Elena had insisted Isla come as her plus one, dressing her in a borrowed silk sheath that hugged her like a second skin. Isla felt like Cinderella at the ball, but without the mice, more like the rat in the wall, watching the glitter from afar. Whispers followed her. Who's the redhead? Elena's latest project. Marcus cornered her by the bar. Scotch breath hot on her neck. She'll burn through you like she did me. We're all just stepping stones to her throne. Isla shoved him off. Heart pounding. But the poison seeped. That night, in the limo back to Elena's penthouse overlooking the Hudson, Isla confronted her. Am I just your redemption arc? The poor girl you saved to feel good about your silver spoon. Elena's face crumpled. Hands cupping Isla's. No. No. You're my everything. The only one who sees me. Not the heiress. They made love that night with desperate urgency. Bodies a battlefield of need and fear. But the fracture lingered. A hairline waiting to shatter. Winter clamped down on the city like a vice. Snow piling in drifts that buried the bad memories under white oblivion. Isla threw herself into her music. Gigs at open mics and smoky bars drawing crowds with her raw covers of Joni Mitchell and original ballads that bled vulnerability. Elena was there every night. Front and center. Her applause the loudest thunder. They built a rhythm. Mornings tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets. Elena's foundation office by day where Isla volunteered. Sorting grants for women's shelters. Afternoons wandering the High Line hand in hand. Stealing kisses amid the wildflowers. But Marcus was a ghost that wouldn't stay buried. He funded half the Harrington events. His influence a web Isla couldn't untangle. One February evening, as Isla tuned her violin in Elena's sun-drenched living room, the doorman buzzed up a delivery. A sleek box wrapped in black ribbon. Addressed to Elena. Curiosity pricked. Isla wasn't one for snooping. But the card peeked out. Marcus's scrawl. Remember who you are, darling. Before she drags you down. Inside. A diamond necklace. The kind that could buy a brownstone. Nestled on velvet like a serpent's egg. Rage boiled in Isla's veins. She stormed into Elena's study. Necklace dangling from her fist. What's this? Your ex's idea of closure. Elena's eyes widened. Chair scraping back. Isla. Wait. While he circles like a vulture. Isla hurled the box. Jewels scattering like fallen stars. Am I the joke here? The entertainment until you get bored. Tears welled in Elena's hazel depths. It's nothing. He sends shit like this to manipulate. I told him we're done. She crossed the room. Arms wrapping Isla tight. You think I'd trade this us for his toxicity? You're my home. Isla. The only one I've ever had. They collapsed onto the rug. Apologies dissolving into touches that mapped forgiveness. But trust, once chipped, is porcelain, beautiful but brittle. Isla started noticing the late nights at the office. Elena's phone buzzing with deleted texts. Paranoia whispered, she's hiding something. Always will. Spring unfurled in cherry blossoms along Riverside Drive. And Elena proposed a getaway. A weekend in the Voss family cabin in the Adirondacks. Just us. No city poison, Isla agreed. Packing light, her violin, a dog-eared copy of the bell jar, and hope stitched into every seam. The drive north was a symphony of laughter. Elena's hand on Isla's thigh. Radio blasting Patsy Cline as the skyline shrank in the rearview. The cabin was a revelation. Log walls warmed by a stone hearth. Windows framing evergreens that whispered secrets to the wind. They arrived at dusk. Snowmelt trickling like veins of silver. Elena built a fire. Sparks dancing like fireflies. While Isla unpacked a picnic of artisanal cheeses and wine from Elena's hidden stash. They ate on a bearskin rug. Stories flowing freer than the Merlot. Elena's childhood summers here. Her grandfather teaching her to fish. The pressure of inheriting an empire that valued profits over people. I want to dismantle it, she confessed. Head in Isla's lap. Turn Voss into something good. Like your music, raw. Real. Isla's fingers strummed Elena's hair. And me? Part of that empire. You're the heart of it. Elena's kiss was a vow. Sealing promises in the firelight. That night, under a quilt stitched by Elena's grandmother, they explored each other with the slowness of sacred ritual. Bodies a canvas of sighs and shudders. Love a language without words. Morning brought clarity, crisp as the lake air. They hiked to a hidden waterfall, mist kissing their skin like benediction. At the base, Elena dropped to one knee, not with a ring, but a simple silver band etched with a rose. Marry me, Isla. Not for show. Not for society. For us. Let's build a life where no one can touch this. Tears blurred Isla's vision. Joy a tidal wave. Yes. God. Yes. They sealed it with a kiss that echoed off the rocks. The world narrowing to just them. Back in the city. The idol shattered like cheap crystal. Elena's board, old money relics with golf tans and golf claps, summoned her for a chat about the foundation's direction. Isla waited in the lobby of the Voss Tower. A glass monolith piercing the clouds. Her thrift store dress feeling like armor against the suits gliding past. Hours ticked by. When Elena emerged, her face was ashen. Eyes hollow. What happened? Isla pulled her into an alcove. Voices hushed. Elena swallowed hard. They know about us. Marcus leaked it, photos from the gala. Twisted to make you look like a scandal. They threatened to cut funding unless I end it. Publicly, Isla's world tilted. And I told them to go to hell. Elena's grip tightened. Fierce. But there's more. Grandfather's will. It's contingent on me marrying suitably. Fi defy. The foundation folds. Thousands lose everything. The betrayal wasn't Elena's, but the system's, a gilded cage snapping shut. Isla pulled away. Chest tight. So I'm the unsuitable? The homeless girl who helped a socialite. Only to drag her down. No, Elena reached. But Isla was already backing toward the elevators. The silver band burning on her finger like accusation. That night, Isla vanished into the city's underbelly. Crashing on a friend's couch in Red Hook. Violin silent in its case. Elena's calls lit up her burner phone like flares. Please. We fight this together. But doubt had rooted deep. Marcus's words a refrain, stepping stone. Weeks dragged. A limbo of gray skies and grayer moods. Isla buskied in subway tunnels. Melodies laced with loss. Drawing pity coins from commuters who sensed the ache. Elena didn't stop searching posters in coffee shops. tips from shelter volunteers. Her foundation's resources bent to the hunt. She confronted Marcus in his Tribeca loft, storming past his doorman with eyes like daggers. "You did this." "For what?" "Pride." He lounged on leather, smirking. "Love? Please." "She's playing house with gutter trash." "I saved her." Elena's slap echoed, red imprint blooming on his cheek. "You don't know love." "You never did." She walked out, resolve stealing. She'd liquidate shares, fight the board in court, burn it all for Isla. Fate, that capricious bitch, intervened on a muggy June evening. Isla, hollow-eyed and thinner, her auburn hair cropped short in rebellion, wandered into a street fair on the Lower East Side. Booths hawked falafel and handmade jewelry, laughter bubbling like champagne. She paused at a folk stage, guitar in hand, when Elena's voice cut through the crowd. "Isla." Time fractured. Elena, windswept in a sundress that fluttered like hope, pushed through bodies, tears carving paths down her cheeks. "Don't run." "Not again." Isla froze, violin case clutched like a shield. "You should have let me go." "Saved your empire." "Screw the empire." Elena closed the gap, hands framing Isla's face. "I sold it. All of it. To a consortium that promises ethical AI. The Foundation's mine now, untethered. And Marcus, disgraced. Leaked docs showed his embezzlement. He's done." Isla's breath hitched. "You. For me. For us." Elena's lips brushed hers, soft as absolution. The crowd blurred, the world a distant hum. But closure demanded reckoning. They retreated to the cabin, ghosts demanding exorcism. Over fireside confessions, Isla unpacked her fears, the betrayal of class, the terror of being saved only to be discarded. Elena bared her own, the loneliness of wealth, the facade cracked by Isla's raw truth. "You didn't change my life," Elena said, bandaging old wounds with words. "You gave it back to me." Summer waned into a golden haze, the city exhaling after its frantic pulse. Isla and Elena rebuilt, brick by careful brick. The studio became theirs, walls adorned with Isla's sketches and Elena's abstract oils, swirls of indigo and crimson capturing stolen sunsets. Isla's music flourished, a demo tape, pressed with Elena's quiet funding, landed her a spot at a Brooklyn showcase. Critics called her the voice of the overlooked, her lyrics a tapestry of street grit and silken dreams. Elena's foundation thrived untethered, grants flowing to queer youth programs and homeless outreach. Isla's input the secret sauce, practical, unflinching. They volunteered together at a women's center in Harlem, Isla teaching violin to kids with eyes like shattered mirrors, Elena facilitating workshops on resilience. In quiet moments, they'd steal away to the roof, city lights sprawling like a lover's promise, Elena's head on Isla's shoulder. "This is the real heiress," she'd murmur. "The one who chooses love over legacy, yet scars it, even healed." Marcus's shadow lingered in tabloid whispers, Heiress's slum romance, Voss scandal exposed, but Elena's lawyers buried them deep. Isla's past clawed too, nightmares of eviction nights, her mom's ghost urging flight. One October dawn, as leaves bled red in Prospect Park, Isla woke gasping, Elena's arms a lifeline. "I'm scared," she admitted, voice small. "That I'll wake up and this'll be the dream. You'll see the girl under the gown and bolt." Elena traced Isla's jaw, steady as bedrock. I've seen her. The fighter. The artist. The woman who saved me that rainy night. You're no dream, you're my dawn. Their lovemaking that morning was unhurried worship. Bodies sinking like a duet long rehearsed. Every gasp a rebuttal to fear. The high tide of joy crested at Thanksgiving. Elena's family cabin transformed into neutral ground. Her parents, silver-haired pillars of old money. Dad a retired senator with a drawl like bourbon. Mom a gallery owner with impeccable pearls arrived wary. Briefed on the situation via terse emails. Isla, in a thrifted turtleneck and jeans, felt exposed. Violin case her only armor. Dinner was a minefield, crystal clinking. Turkey carved with precision. Elena's father cleared his throat over pie. This arrangement. It's unconventional. His eyes flicked to Isla. Praising. Isla's fork paused. Love usually is, sir. But it's honest. Something your world could use more of. Silence thickened. Then Elena's mom laughed. A trill like wind chimes. Touché. Elena's always been the rebel. Welcome, dear. Toast followed. Tentative bridges built over pecan pie. And by fireside stories, Isla shared her mom's recipe for cornbread. Voices overlapping in unexpected harmony. Winter holidays brought the storm's echo. A blizzard blanketing the city. Power flickering like a bad omen. Stranded in the penthouse, they hosted an impromptu gathering. Shelter friends. Foundation colleagues. A motley choir of the reclaimed. Isla let carols on violin. Elena's soprano weaving counterpoint. Laughter echoing off icicle-draped windows. In that glow, Isla glimpsed eternity, not grand gestures, but this chosen family. Warmth against the whiteout. Spring heralded the climax. Unbidden and brutal. Marcus, stripped of fortune but not fury, resurfaced in a haze of desperation. A leaked email chain forged. Vicious, hit the post gossip mills. Voss Heiress in fraud with ex-con lover. Lies twisted. Isla painted as a grifter. Elena's dealings as kickbacks. Protests erupted outside Voss remnants. Pickets chanting blood money. Elena's bored. Those spineless suits. Reconvened. Demanding her resignation. The confrontation brewed in Elena's office. Isla bursting in mid-meeting. Snow from her boots melting on Persian rugs. This is bullshit. Fight it. Elena, pale behind her desk, shook her head. I can't drag you through this mud. The foundation. Screw the foundation if it costs us. Isla's voice broke. Raw. Board members shifted. Discomfort rippling. But Marcus's endgame was personal. That night, as Isla rehearsed for a Carnegie recital, her big break, he cornered Elena in an alley post-rehearsal, reeking of bourbon and ruin. Give it up. Elle. Her. Or I go public with everything, the will, the affairs, your little secret. Elena's laugh was ice. Blackmail? From you? Pathetic. She twisted free, dialing 911. But he lunged, hands like vices on her throat. Isla, emerging from the side door with her violin, saw red. She swung the case like a battering ram, wood cracking against his skull. He crumpled, sirens wailing in the distance. Elena gasped, collapsing into Isla's arms, bruises blooming like dark roses. Cops came, statements taken in fluorescent hell. Marcus arrested, assault, threat. His empire's remnants crumbling under indictments. The headlines flipped. Heiress hero. Lover saves Voss from ex's rage. But victory tasted ash. Elena's eyes. Once whiskey warm. Now shadowed with what-ifs. In the hospital waiting room. Isla paced. Guilt gnawing. I should have let you handle it. Now you're tainted by my chaos. Elena, bandaged but unbroken, pulled her close. Your chaos is my clarity. We end this together or not at all. The trial was a circus. Tabloids frenzying. Elena testifying with poise that silenced doubters. Isla's cross-exam a masterclass in quiet fury. Marcus folded. Plea deal swallowing his venom. The board dissolved. Elena's vision for the foundation unchained. Grants doubling for those the system forgot. Summer solstice brought renewal. On the cabin's lake shore. Under a canopy of stars. They renewed vows simple. Sun-warmed. With wildflowers and witnesses of wind. Isla's violin sang a new composition. Redemption reel. Notes weaving loss into light. Elena's ring. Now gold with intertwined roses. Slipped onto Isla's finger beside the silver. Years folded like an accordion. Isla's album topping indie charts. Tours balanced with home. Elena's foundation a beacon. Isla its muse and co-chair. They adopted a rescue mutt named Echo. Gray fur and boundless heart. And mentored a girl from the shelters, Isla's Echo. Violin in tiny hands. One crisp autumn eve. As leaves pirouette in Central Park. Elena paused mid-stroll. You know, that rainy night? You didn't just help a socialite. You saved the heiress who was lost to herself. Isla smiled. Freckles dancing. And you changed a homeless girl's life, gave her roots. Wings. A symphony. They kissed. Slow and sure. The skyline sentinel to their story. In a city of 7 million strangers. They'd found the one truth. Love isn't a handout or a throne. It's the hand extended in the storm. Pulling you from the gutter to the stars. Humanity. In its messiest grace. Redeems us all.